Hi, it's Monique. So today I'm doing a photography tip, and it's all about portraits. Okay, so what I mean by portraits is like a picture of somebody. They don't have to be doing anything. They could just be standing there and smiling, but a picture of a person or a dog or whatever. So I guess the first thing that I do when I'm taking portraits is I look at my model and I look at the location that I want to take the picture. And then I try to have like a really clear background. And then I try to pick out a portrait lens or something that I'm able to do a portrait lens on. So you don't have to go out and buy a new portrait lens. Usually I use a 50 lens, this one. This is a Nikon 1.8D. If you've been following the blog, then you'll know that I had a little bit of a problem with this and new lenses or new cameras. Just like the mounting points weren't the same. So I went out and bought a new one. They're pretty cheap, but you don't have to buy a portrait lens. You can just use whatever you have. And the thing is, what you want to do in a portrait, you have to remember that it's going to be facing this way. You want to get their face and their shoulders, or maybe you can have their whole body. It's still a portrait. So what you have to do is you have to kind of say, okay, I don't want a landscape picture, which is wider in the horizontal and then shorter on the sides for the vertical. You want a portrait, so it's going to be shorter on the horizontal top and then longer on the sides. So you're gonna, instead of taking pictures with your camera like this, you can turn it and you're gonna take pictures with your camera like that to take a portrait. Like I said, you don't need a special portrait lens, just something that is going to be wide or where you can get in close to someone's face. So what I mean is, so for example, if I'm taking a portrait of somebody in the field and say they want headshots for a professional portfolio or something like that, I'm going to take a big wide shot of the person in the field so I can see what's going on around. But I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to get close so that everything in the portrait is nice and crisp and stuff like that. Another thing that you have to consider while you're taking portraits is men and women and how the light falls on their face. So generally what I mean is men, they have starker features. They have, their cheekbones are more pronounced, their jawbones are more pronounced, and over their eyes and eyebrows are thicker and stuff like that. That's what I mean by men. So usually that looks good when you're taking a picture of them, to just have the photo head on. So you face them directly and you take it just like how I'm looking at you right now, head on. So when the light falls on their face, it makes those kind of features that everybody likes, like a strong jaw in a man or whatever, they make them more pronounced. And a woman, you don't want to have that, right? So usually what I do is I ask them to turn their head maybe 10 degrees or whatever, just so that, their face is this way and their eyes are on the camera like that. Because you don't want to have, say, they have really stark features as well. You don't want to have a woman having stark, like people staring at their nose because their nose is very defined or whatever. You just want to maybe turn it. And then people can see a soft kind of jaw or soft cheeks and that sort of thing. And that's another really good way of hiding blemishes on someone's face. Say your model is just like an average person. They've got pimples or whatever, and you don't want to have to go in later in Photoshop and take out whatever blemishes that they have. Say they have a blemish on this cheek. Well, all you have to do is to get them to turn their head this way, and you can't even see it. Right? So that's a really good trick, I think. Another thing is to kind of change your distance from the person when you're taking the portrait. You can stand on a step stool and take a portrait down at them, have them looking up, or you can look directly at them, like I said, or have them turn their head or turn their body. You can have them standing with a prop, so like they could put their arm on something. There's lots of different things that you can do, but I think the two major tricks are for men, have head-on pictures. And then for women, you can have them turn or cross their arms or use a prop or, that sort of thing. Okay, I hope that tip helps you, and happy photos. Bye.